Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. Now, we're going to talk about a thing here that is in and of itself a bad enough thing, but it links back to Starmer and his approach to what we shall call posting false information on the internet, and to see whether two-tier Kia lives up to his name or whether he's prepared to do something about it. Because we've got a story about James Dornan. Now, I don't mean the sort of vaguely good-looking Irish actor James Dornan. I'm talking about the thuggish gobshite SNP MSP James Dornan. Because he has, I was going to say opened his mouth, but technically not opened his mouth. He's typed away there on X. And he's given out false information. Dangerous information. What he's saying is both false and, I would suggest, and we'll get to it, dangerous. Now, Keir Starmer, of course, has been busy sending in his goons all around the country to arrest people who have typed things. And, sure, children are going to get stabbed in London, but hey, the police are at least knocking up on doors to make sure that people don't write harsh words on the internet. Great, isn't it? Anyway, Dornan has suggested that Operation Branchform is politically motivated. He's saying that the things that are going on are purely out of spite by the police, who are working with the rest of them against the SNP to damage the reputation of the SNP and blah blah blah. I mean, we're talking high levels of paranoia and conspiracy theory. It's the sign of a broken mind, isn't it? It's the sign of a very sad man with a very broken mind. But it's the fact is that it's not true. Now, he's suggesting that the investigation will not end until May 2026. And he's saying that this, again, is politically motivated. He's saying this is so that people will, just prior to the election, still have branch form in there. And so they'll think just before the election, oh, well, it hasn't gone yet. Maybe the SNP are corrupt and criminal and there's something wrong with them. And all I can say is, Mr. Dornan, don't worry. Don't worry yourself about it. People already think the SNP are corrupt and criminal and there's something wrong with them. They don't have to wait until May 2026. Most people in Scotland have already made their mind up. Most people in Scotland already look upon you lot because they look at the things you've done. They look at the fact that there must be enough evidence to charge Murrell. They look at the fact that you've got ministers of state making fraudulent claims on expenses and then lying about it to the authorities at Holyrood, to the press, to the people, throwing his children under the bus, generally behaving in a terrible way. They look at all those offenders who have had, images of children, who like to touch up other people's children, Patrick Grady, I'm looking at you, that sort of thing. And so people have already got this perception that the SNP are that kind of party anyway. And nothing's going to change that. The very fact that Branchform is still going on and that Branchform is still working and that there's no time frame for it to end yet, and the fact, of course, that Sturgeon is still in the frame. They haven't ruled her out. She is still what they call a person of interest. That should be beside the point. And it certainly won't change people's opinions, no matter what James Dornan thinks. But he's made these claims. Now, this, of course, will undermine people's confidence in the state, and it will undermine people's confidence in the police. And as I say, Starmer's goons have been arresting people, charging them, and putting them in prison for several years now for doing exactly this. So why is no one knocking on James Dornan's door? Is it one rule for them and another one for us? Are only politicians allowed to say things like this, but we're not allowed to speculate? We're not allowed to say things? Will I get a knock at the door for this video? I think not. I'm careful enough to say that I'm only thinking these things. It is my opinion. I'm not making direct accusations. I don't know if that's going to be good enough, though, given the way Starmer seems to be wanting to clamp down on everything. But I do think it stinks that Dornan has not yet had that little 5 a.m. wake-up call. You know, Sweeney-esque. Shall I knock on the door, sir, or shall he use the big key? I'll use the big key, George. Boot. I love the Sweeney. But there he is. He's there. Now, he, of course, was responding to that interview yesterday. I did the video on this yesterday with, what's her name? Jo Farrell, the Chief Constable of Scotland, when she was talking about this and saying, you know, that there's no end in sight for the investigation and so forth. See that video if you want. And that's where he got angry and straight onto X and he was saying these things. X, of course, is the same platform and all that. So, again, it's quite weird how, you know, Plod haven't knocked and wandered on in. The Scottish Conservative Justice Secretary, or just Shadow Justice spokesperson, I suppose you'd call her, Sharon Dowie. Now, she said, and I've got to read this, she said, "This is a disgraceful and outrageous tweet from James Dornan, who should apologise immediately to Police Scotland." No, he shouldn't have to apologise. He should be in a room with Police Scotland answering questions. The people who were posting didn't get a chance to apologise and let bygones be bygones. They were arrested. He needs to be arrested for the same thing. Anyway, she continued, "He is openly suggesting that Operation Branchform is politically motivated and that Police Scotland are so devoid of integrity that they would time the conclusion of their investigation to maximise its impact on the SNP. It's shameful. It's paranoid." And it is. It's absolute load of old rubbish. And he should be ashamed of himself, but not just for that, but for so many other things. He is an obnoxious thug, in my opinion. Cover myself. But it's this whole backdrop thing that really sickens you, because normies like you and me would have been arrested. He gets away with it. Two-tier Kia strikes again. And as I say, it doesn't really matter because, yeah, the SNP, well, everyone knows, don't they? Everyone knows. Everyone suspects. Everyone believes. They had their near wipeout last month. And let's hope they get a near wipeout, or indeed a total wipeout, in May 2026. Although I suspect you're going to need a lot of reform up there because you can't vote for Labour either. Hey-ho. Let me know what you think. Until next time, stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you later. Bye.